Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax while we talk about what is happening up in the stars above. It is Monday, Moon Day, and the beginning of a new week. And hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. It was a very busy weekend for us in this side of the world. Uh, October is like mass birthday month in my family. And so we had a grandson's birthday that we celebrated on Saturday night, and then a sister-in-law's birthday that we celebrated on Sunday, along with a retirement party for my brother-in-law, his wife, and what was the other thing that we did that was party? Oh, it was also a housewarming party for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So we were quite busy partying, which means that we eat a lot of different things. Poor Terry was suffering because he was eating, I don't know, I don't know what he ate that upset his stomach. He thought it was the pizza. I don't know. But anyway, we had a good time celebrating birthdays and such. And we're not done, of course. We still have two more birthdays to celebrate this month. And we've already had 2, 3 birthdays to celebrate this month before the ones that we celebrated this weekend. So we're partying everywhere. Anyway, today we are staring down the change of seasons or the change of the astrological season going from Libra into Scorpio season. And I want to talk about that tomorrow. We shift out of the sign of Libra and into Scorpio. And then as well, we have a handful of transits to talk about this week that are interesting. And as well, looking at the deeper meaning behind the gates 50 and gate 3 in the gene key. So we're looking at it through the shadow, the lens of the shadow, the gift, and the siddhi. And that will probably take up this entire show. There we have it. All right, so let's dive in. We start the week, of course, today with the moon in Gemini. Later this afternoon, from about 2:01 p.m. West Coast time to I think it is 3:56 p.m. I'll get the exact time for you because that would make sense. Until let's see, today it would be I was good 3:50 p.m. West Coast time when the moon will shift into the sign of Cancer. So we have a day where we're transitioning, from the or shifting from the mind orientation of Gemini energy into the heart orientation energy, family traditions, and things like that of Cancer energy. So we're moving out of curiosity, we're moving out of communication into the more nurturing, emotional, and intuitive energies of the moon. I started to say from the time 2:01 to 3:50, the moon is in the void, right? So that means it's a little bit wobbly, only an hour and a half or so of your day, pretty much the end of the workday, at least, toward the West Coast's energy, and then East Coast, you guys are already done with your day by the time literally that you get into the void. And remember, the void is a time when the moon isn't making any new contacts. So it can be a time of wandering, of wobbling, and not really being able to accomplish much. So a void of course moon sometimes can be very frustrating, but because it's not happening at a time when most people are going to be needing that full on energy, it's not going to be as horrible of an experience perhaps. Now the moon entering Cancer, however, changes everything from that mental focus to the emotional focus. So we're talking, Gemini energy, we're intellectual, we're informational, we're communicative. And Cancer is more about feelings and intuition. And we'll likely feel that shift from the analytical, brain type of Mercury driven Gemini energy to the more moon driven Cancer, family, tradition, emotional energies. And then the focus becomes for the next few days, the focus becomes the family and home and emphasizes the heart and family matters, things that have to do with the family. So it's a great time, while the moon is in Cancer, for us to nurture our emotional well being, our connection with our heart, our home, right? Connecting with our loved ones. But there's also emotional sensitivity when the moon is transiting through Cancer. It heightens our emotional sensitivity. So, kind of be mindful of how your reactions to emotional energy can be impacting others over those next few days. And Cancer is a sign of self care as well and comfort. It's interesting because of its connection to home, and home's the representation of comfort, right? Where there's safety and there's stability. So it's a sign when the moon is moving through here where we kind of, get more protective and more protected. And we want to be in comfort. And the comfort here is in familiar surroundings, right? The home, right? Where do you feel good with that comfy, cozy blankie, maybe your cup of coffee? And we sit and we just honor our emotional needs and the need to be together with family. And family can be friends, it can be, people that you work with, right? Families have different definitions. So that will be the switch of the moon. And today, though, of course, for a good chunk of the day, we still have the moon in Gemini, in the later degrees of Gemini, which means it takes on a bit of an Aquarian feel. And so think about maybe how you might be innovative. Think about how invention might play a role in your day or in your week. Maybe new ideas or aha moments can be a part of the earlier part of your day before the moon transits over into Cancer. All right, let's say good morning to people who are checking in. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel. I saw her first out there this morning. She says, hit that like button. Please do. Hit the thumbs up or hit the heart or hit the smiley face, whatever you have there, whatever medium you're in, whether you're in YouTube or in Facebook. Then I saw Tom. Good morning, he says. And then Diana. Good morning. Great show last Friday. I needed to hear that. Learning more every day. I love that feedback, Diana. Thank you so much. And of course, Pia and Colin are always great sources of wisdom for us. And, literally, they, we never plan what it is that we're going to talk about. And it's like flying, I have pages of stuff that I put together for us to talk about every morning in the broadcast. But when it comes to the shows with them, no notes because I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I'll have notes maybe for the astrology of the weekend if there's something important that we need to talk about. But literally, we just go with the flow. Wherever spirit leads, we go. And this Friday, or last Friday, it was all about healing, which I just loved. Hello to J Lo. She says, Happy Moon Day. Corey, hello to you. Asa, good morning to you. TJ, good morning. Christine Buckingham, hello. And Joan Durchie, good morning to all. It's great to have the gang together this morning. Okay, now let's do something a little different this morning. Usually I go through all the transits and then I'll go through the main idea. But the main idea that I want to get across to all of you today is the sun's move into Scorpio, because it really does change up the energy in a fairly dramatic way. Speaking of which, let me just say this. I was ruminating yesterday. I do this all the time, right? Just a thought will take you've heard of an earworm when a song just takes root in your head, right? And you're singing the song over and over. Well, a thought worm took shape in my brain yesterday. And I was like, I feel different. I didn't know why I felt different. I just felt different. And I went, I looked at my astrology chart. I didn't notice anything in the, first glance. And then I thought, whoa, my moon was my progressed moon had been in Sagittarius, and I remembered that it had been close to the end, and I checked and my progressed moon had moved into Capricorn. It's at 0 degrees of Capricorn right now, some minutes. And I realized then how powerful progressions can be. And if you're not familiar with that term, a progression is where we take a look at where the planets have moved forward against the backdrop of your natal chart. And we move them ahead 1 degree for every day of your life, or every degree that the sun has moved. So I'm 63. That means the sun has moved ahead 63 degrees, and then the other planets ahead too. But the moon moves quicker, right? The rest of the planets kind of trail the sun as well, or move faster than the sun. But especially the moon, and the moon will spend 29 months in a sign in a progression, right? So I've just spent the previous 29 months of the moon in Sagittarius, and now I am looking forward to the next 29 months of the moon in Capricorn. And I had been wondering why I had gotten so emotional over my son's birthday last week. Well, I was in the 29th degree of Sagittarius. I was looking, back across those previous 29 months and moved in over the weekend into Capricorn. So it reminds me to remind all of you that it is always a good time to get a reading about your progressions, because they are fundamentally shifting your point of view, shifting how you work in the world, shifting the events and the opportunities and the challenges that are coming up. Like, your natal chart never changes, as in it stays the same, but you are an evolving being, and a progression shows you how you are evolving. You can do progressions as well in human design. So the progression is showing you, like, where am I moving forward into? It's fascinating, especially when you notice it. And I noticed it. So, and of course, that is happening right at the time, at least for me, it won't be the same for all of you, but at the same time that we are shifting into a season, or an astrological season. So, a sign, a time period of deep introspection and transformational energy. So, it's a perfect time, I think, for all of you to ask that question: where are my progressed planets? Right? At this point, I have a progressed ascendant that's getting ready to move, or is in Virgo, and a progressed sun that's getting ready to move into Virgo. Wow. And a moon that's in Capricorn. There's some very earthy energies here, and that will literally shift up likely how I operate. And I've already been sort of feeling that. So I wonder what all of you have been feeling in terms of what's moving and shaking in your own lives, right? What are you feeling internally as a shift that might be attributed to the progressions in your chart? All right, I digress. Let's go into Scorpio season. Scorpio is one of those signs that, for me, I have a tough time understanding. And it's a fixed water sign. So it's, first of all, it's completely different from Gemini energy. So my Geminis out there, you're all like probably the same way, feeling a little odd around Scorpio energy, because we have nothing in common, right? Scorpio is a fixed water sign. It is a sign of intensity, of intense emotional energy, and it is deeply transformative. It dives into the depths, right? So we're talking deep ocean here, as far as water is concerned. And Scorpio is a sign that is ruled by two planets. It has the traditional ruler of Mars and the more modern ruler of Pluto, but we didn't dump Mars. We just say Scorpio is ruled by two planets, Pluto and Mars. And it is the energy of death and rebirth, transformation, and uncovering the hidden, what lies in the depths, right? And there are specific themes that come up around Scorpio energy. There are through every sign. So it's not that Scorpio's like unique that way, but Scorpio has unique energies as themes that will pop up. And one of them is about secrets. What's hidden? What's in the shadows? So, shadow work, a big theme that pops up at this particular time of the year. Looking at inner power and this concept of self mastery. When we're talking about Scorpio energy in its highest, its highest energy is about mastering of the self, mastering of your emotions, mastering of your challenges, mastering of your opportunities that are present in your life. And then that takes you on this journey from darkness to light. Now, all of us are going on the journey. I mean, it doesn't matter that you're not a Scorpio, right? You have Scorpio in your chart. You might have planets in Scorpio, you might not. But either way you look at it, right now we have Mercury in Scorpio transiting through, and we have the sun tomorrow at, I should give you the time, tomorrow at 3:15 p.m. West Coast time. So 6:15 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast. And that will be more like, I'm guessing, 10 or 11 p.m. for those of you in Europe, that the sign will change. So today, for all intents and purposes, we are, at between 28 and 29 degrees of Libra. So today we're actually getting this opportunity, and even tomorrow, up until the time that we shift into Scorpio, to look back over the Libran experiences that we've had and what have we learned? What's our takeaway message in relationships, and especially in agreements and contracts that we've been a part of, partnershiping, all of those things that are very balancing, harmonizing energies. How have we fared during this previous time? Because now whatever's left undone there moves to transformation mode in Scorpio, right? So Scorpio energy. Now, the duration of the sun in Scorpio is from about October 22nd this year until November 21st, 22nd. That will be when the sun shifts into the sign of Sagittarius. Or is it? Right? So, giving you a heads up, I am working on already a course, a class, a webinar. I'm not even sure what to call them anymore, on the 13th sign, because smashed in between here, between Scorpio and Sagittarius, is Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is a sign of healing, the transformational energy around healing, right? Healing as a transformation tool, specifically as it relates to the wounds that we have, right? So it has a very Chiron feel to it. And so I will be doing a class on the 13th sign and asking the question, are you the sign that you think you are? Because if we have to make room for a 13th sign, there's still 360 days in the year, right? So we have to now divide the circle of 360 into 13s, and that may shift the sign that you are. So hold on here. I'm going to give you the link because I've already put up the information on the class and the link to sign up for that. These are $11 courses that I'm doing. I started to call them like enlightenment courses, but I thought that was a little vain, a little too much. So paste, there we go. And there's the link for you. So the 13th sign of the zodiac. And let me see if I can show that once it starts going round and round, or stops going round and round. An error occurred on Facebook. Well, fine. We'll show it there on YouTube, and let's try it again in a minute. And maybe it'll do it itself. If not, I'll post that after the broadcast this morning. So in that particular course, we're going to break it down. What happens if we do this? And I suggest that we do it, right? We go back to that more feminine energy of 13 moons, of 13 signs, 13 months of the calendar, and talk about how that would significantly change the world, not just your own life, but the world, right? Okay, so in the sun in Scorpio, we are asked to embrace the depths, right? We are going deep. And part of that going deep is about working with our shadows, working with the shadow energy that brings the unconscious patterns up, and emotions that lie in the unconscious patterns to light for healing and for integration. So, that's another word that we could use here, because it isn't always just about transforming something. sometimes it's about what lies within us that's not well integrated. And that can be a part of a healing process as well. And Scorpio invites us to confront what we hide, what we repress, or what we deny about ourselves, or what we deny giving to ourselves. So it's a really interesting it's a really interesting time for all of us. And there's practical steps for working with the shadows that come up. And by shadows, we're talking usually about a fear, right? So you might say, I have a fear of speaking in public. That's a big one that people have. So, what are the steps that I can take to overcome that fear? Because if you're living in fear, you're not living your whole life, right? There's something, if you have something in you that is telling you that, I need to speak more often or frequently, but then you hold yourself back because of a fear, then you're not living holistically, right? You're holding yourself back. So, in a real way, at this point of the season, we can maybe journal and explore the hidden fears that we have. On the other hand, there might be hidden desires that we have. Right? What if there's something you've always really wanted to do, and every time that you even think about it, your brain goes, "Nah, you can't do that," or "No, you can't have that." So you squelch it, or bring it into just this inner place. No one's going to know about it, and maybe it's time to bring up that desire and to act upon it. Right? You wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't something that you could take action on. That's the other key that I always think to myself when something's coming up, something I really want or something that I want to do or a place I want to go, it's coming up for a reason. And if it's coming up, then it's possible. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even a thought about it, right? If it's possible for me, it's going to be a thought that is coming up, and I'm going to recognize it because I have a desire to have that, to do that, to be that. There might be meditative practices that you can engage that explore emotional release, like tapping, deeper insight into to gain deeper insight into those unconscious patterns that you're holding. So, any therapy or healing modalities, even exploring your astrology or going deeper into any kind of study, can help you. Psychotherapy, I don't think of that too often, but hypnotherapy, those are things that can help you access the fears and the inner uh, parts of yourself that have not been well integrated. And then you really have to face your fears and face your vulnerabilities. Scorpio really encourages our facing that and the emotional wounds and even past traumas, and to face them head on, right? To go straight in. Um, and this is the higher level of Scorpio. When we talk Scorpio energy, we have those three levels, right? The scorpion, that's really more passive aggressive, right? It comes and stings you from behind. What we're really talking about is the straight on energy of the eagle, and the eagle seeing, and that, eagle eye that sees all, or sees what needs to be um, strengthened, or sees what it is, what part of you needs to be mastered, what part needs to be challenged to overcome or to let go and to heal, right? Because that's about the healing. And in the end, that all ends up being the phoenix, the third level of Scorpio energy, which has done the transformation work, has died to the old and rebirthed to the new, right? So that is all about healing and facing your fears. And then recognize that vulnerability can lead to profound strength and profound growth, allowing yourself to recognize that soft inner space, right? That heart. And then maybe creating affirmations for emotional resilience and courage to face the unknown, right? Mars is a planet of courage and bravery, boldness, and he is a part of the Scorpio experience as well. And then there's the power of transformation during this period of time. And by the way, wherever it is that you have Scorpio in your chart, so if this were a chart of a person that I drew up today, Scorpio is on the first house. Um, there's the symbol for Scorpio. That's what Scorpio looks like, an M with a tail on it, an arrow at the end of it. This would be a first house transformation potential. Wherever it is you have Scorpio in your chart by house, House equals area of life. That is where the transformation energy is possible for you, or where the most intense transformation energy will be coming up. So the power of transformation is happening here because Scorpio is a sign of rebirth, regeneration, right? Taking the like the phoenix, the Scorpio rises from the ashes or rises from the ashes. And there's always potential with Scorpio energy for regeneration after destruction, right? So if things have been happening along the path of your life, then regeneration is possible right after that destruction. And Scorpio is all a part of endings and beginnings. This is letting go is a natural part of the Scorpio experience. It's part of this transit, looking within and seeing what it is that needs to be let go. So practice releasing what no longer serves you. And there are rituals for release, such as burning old journals or, burning, taking and writing out a fear and, burning it, or creating a symbolic act of surrendering. Get crazy, get creative about how it is that you want to reclaim your power through releasing. And of course, you're also reclaiming your power through a personal transformation. So everything we're talking about here is, personal transformation. So confronting energy, confronting power struggles, both internal and external, and embrace true inner power. True inner power comes when you face your own demons, right? When you face your own fears, and then use Scorpio's energy to take control of your life by healing that disempowering part of yourself or disempowered part of yourself, or healing the disempowering pattern or belief or, history that you have, story that you're telling yourself. And, claim that inner strength by stepping into a more authentic version of yourself, right? Letting go what is not fitting. All right. Um, this Scorpio energy gives us an opportunity to resolve, first of all, to see hidden patterns, but then to resolve hidden patterns that are in the subconscious mind. Because Scorpio's got a connection to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is running the show, whether you think it is or isn't, it is, right? It's in the subconscious mind where patterns that have developed from this lifetime and other lifetimes resides. And because it's subconscious, we're acting out the story over and over again with no consciousness until we bring that consciousness to it. So the minute we notice that there's this repeating pattern, excuse me, or that we are, why is it this is always happening to me? That's when we start to bring it out of the subconscious and into the conscious mind. And once we have it in the conscious, then we can start this process of healing, of empowering, of transforming, right? And in a way, the Scorpio energy helps us to unveil our true self. Who am I really? Who's the hidden, person? What are the hidden motivations that are going on? What are my hidden fears? All of that kind of stuff. So any kind of techniques that reveal or uncover those subconscious blocks, dream work, meditation, working with a guide, looking at your astrology, doing therapy, all of these types of things throughout this season can be very helpful in getting you to the depth of what is going on. Using astrology is a huge introspective tool, human design, a huge tool, gene keys helping you to explore the deeper layers of what's going on in your psyche. And not only do you have the information that's encoded in your own human design astrology or gene keys, you have the transiting planets that are highlighting certain key areas for transformation for you. And they work together as a way to bring up that old stuff for, healing, or it gets brought up and you push it back down because you're not ready to deal with it, right? So there's a huge transformative power going on here for us to um, uncover and clear karmic patterns, ancestral patterns, that are influencing your present. And, don't think for a moment that they're not influencing you, because they are, right? There are very few people on this planet that are actually living out their authentic selves. And I throw myself in there because I get afraid of things, right? I pull back. So we're going to heal and integrate the subconscious, right? Those patterns. We're going to transform through acceptance. First of all, acceptance. Accept that that's there. And then forgiveness, both yourself and others, for anything that has gone on in your life. And then do some emotional cleansing, some emotional releasing, unpacking, if you will, the subconscious baggage. And there are all kinds of practices, pick your favorite that can help you unpack those things. So, navigating Scorpio season is really about leaning into the tools that you have to bring out what has been hidden from you, or what you've hidden from yourself, that is keeping you from being who you want to be, or doing what you want to do, or going where you want to go in your life. And the Scorpio season encourages healthy outlets for that, for intense emotions, right? Maybe through art or through writing, or any of the types of healings that are available out there, because we really want to encourage that emotional awareness, that you really are doing the work because a fear has shown up or a shadow has shown up. And there are great crystals. I don't often talk about crystals, but I love them. And I have my quartz crystal sitting here. I have my chunk of shungite that sits here. And I have a whole box over there of crystals, because they're very powerful in amplifying energies or in clearing energies. And some of the crystals for Scorpio season would be things like obsidian. Obsidian, a dark black glassy kind of stone, and that one is typically about transformation. Amethyst is another good stone for the Scorpio season, because it heightens intuition. Black tourmaline, I have a whole jar of that out in my living room. Black tourmaline is for protection, repelling negative energy and helping you to see your inner light. And I would even say shungite is a good one. Any black stone is a good one for Scorpio energy, because it helps us reflect the inner world in a more powerful way. So get your stones on, get your crystals out. There are Scorpio season rituals working with the new moon that'll occur in Scorpio, for setting the powerful intentions for transformation and for letting go of what no longer serves you. Water. Scorpio is a water sign, so emotional cleansing and renewal, and maybe taking baths, or doing water meditations, or even spending time near bodies of water, can be very healing and very revealing for what's the emotions that you are feeling. And of course, mindful reflection. This is a great season for going within, to take stock of the year so far, and to reflect on what needs transformation in your life. Ask introspective questions like, what have I been resisting? What fears or emotions am I afraid to confront? Or what is asking to be transformed in my life? Right? Great questions for doing that inner work. And how I would do something like that is get a journal out, and just write the question, and or sit in meditation with the question. But I like to write, so meditation for me would be writing out that question, and then, just as ideas or words come up, just to start that writing process without editing it, without trying to make it something it's not, just allowing a free flow of information to come in. um, so in conclusion of Scorpio season, um, this isn't about fear, or it isn't about going into fear. It's not about fearing the intensity. It's about confronting the fear, right? It's about looking it square in the face and deciding, what is it that you're going to do? How can you empower yourself to overcome the fear? How do I harness that fear for growth and for empowerment? and embrace both your light and your shadow, because it's all a part of who you are, as you're embracing that as a path to being whole, right? Wholeness. And maybe an affirmation for Scorpio for you might be, I am powerful in my transformation. I release the past to step fully into my truth, right? I'll post those for you guys later so you can write them down. So, Scorpio season is a big season, right? Not one to be feared, but one to be embraced. And I love that. Uh, there was something else. Oh, I was going to share something with you because yesterday or Friday, I got my um, energy almanac for 2025. This is the spiral version. And I wanted to show you a couple of new things that we added for the 2025. And one of them is a monthly overview, a month at a glance. So, like, you know how I tell you guys sometimes to circle the 19th because it's a big day, right? Then you could fill in the dates here, circle the 19th, and go, ah, yes, big day, right? Big day. I need to know this. There is also something else new called Oracle Play. So at the bottom here, do you see that where you can draw cards? And the question asked here is, what do I need to know about the month ahead? And you can draw, 1 to 5 cards, however many you want, and you can put them there and then do a little bit of a journal on what it is that those cards mean for you. And there was something else new here too. Um, some lines to write your observations about the energy. This is January, by the way. So there's the gift and the shadow for that week, and what's happening, and maybe notes that you want to write to yourself right there in the book in that week. And there's also the moon work that we do. And there is more writing space there for your observations, for the things that you want to remember about that moon. And as well, at the end of that week, there no, that's the other moon. So lots of new things that you can look at here, places to write, and then the best part for me is a month end review. Right, you can go back all the different things that you felt, all the different things that we talked about. So today, like, we're talking about Scorpio's intensity, and maybe notes about what it is that you experienced during this period of time. And the 2025 almanac is available now. And I need to go back here and stop sharing this one so I can give you the link to where you can get the almanac. And I love this book, right? This is a great way for us to tap in on a weekly basis, a daily basis, really, as to what is happening in our lives. So hold on, I'm going to post that link up, and there you go. No, it's posting. And now I can show it. Very good. All right, so that's the almanac. And I love the cover this year. It's really funky, and it almost looks celebratory, doesn't it? Right? Balloons and confetti. All right. Anyway, that's the Energy Almanac, and it is available now. Get it early, right? Okay, let's go on to what's next. We have a couple of transits this week that are really interesting. The first one today is Mercury in a trine to Saturn. Now, Mercury is in Scorpio, Saturn is in Pisces. So we have water to water, a trine, right? A smooth ease and flow. A trine is a 120-degree angle between the planets, and it just really is a very smooth kind of energy between these two planets. And some of the key themes around that transit for us today and even into tomorrow would be about deep, focused thinking, because Mercury in Scorpio brings that more penetrating, investigative mindset, right? Mercury rules the mind and communication. So when we have him in the sign of Scorpio, we're already looking into the deep, right? We're looking at depth, we're looking at uncovering, we're looking at investigating, looking through mysteries, right? And all of that. Combined with Saturn's stabilizing influence here, this transit gives us an excellent opportunity to dive deep into things, into complex topics, perhaps, while maintaining the ability to gain clarity and to see what the structure of things are. There's also emotional wisdom here, which is interesting with Saturn, right? Emotional wisdom, because with Saturn in Pisces, we're tapping into that emotional EQ, I call it, right? Emotional quotient. We have IQ, your mental powers, EQ, your emotional power. And we're combining that with intuition and logic of Mercury in Scorpio. So conversations during this time can be more introspective, can be more deep, can help you uncover hidden truths within yourself while remaining grounded, right? There's this ability to stay a little bit more grounded in this period of time. It's also a good time to make long-term plans. Take a look at, what it is that you really want to do. Um, Especially if making those plans requires emotional understanding and practical application, right? Understanding the emotion behind what it is that you want to do. It's a great time for strategic thinking, and for working through difficult issues or discussing long-term goals with others, and looking at it with depth and maturity is another word we could throw out there. Saturn in Pisces brings maturity to that particular sign and into this trine. And responsible communication is another part of this. There's a seriousness to how we express ourselves now with Mercury and Scorpio, anyway. And the influence of Saturn encourages us to take responsibility for our words. Responsibility, whether it's in our personal conversations or our professional conversations, we are likely better prepared to approach matters with care and integrity. Another word we could throw out here. It's a big one for this week as well. All right. And then the sun is also tomorrow coming into a square with Pluto in Capricorn. So tomorrow we shift into Scorpio, but just before that, while the sun is at 29 Libra and Pluto at 29 Capricorn, they square one another. So there's always tension in a square, right? So Libra representing our identity, purpose in relationships, how we come together in partnership, squaring Pluto in Capricorn, which is the planet of transformation, power, control. And with both planets at 29 degrees, critical degrees, there's a turning point perhaps that's happening in our lives. And it's urging us to deep change and resolution of conflict, rebalancing power in our relationships or power in rebalancing in any situation that we are in our lives. So there are key themes that come up with the sun square Pluto, and one is power dynamics, right? The square creates tension, um, which arise in our relationships, likely because it's Libra, right? That the sun is in, and maybe even the structures of authority that others have over us, or maybe in career matters having to do with Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn, power struggles, control issues, resistance to change, all of that could be surfacing from Tuesday on, I would say even from today on, right? This is building up already. And it can create a transformation in our relationships, right? The sun wants harmony, wants peace, it wants equilibrium, it wants balance. But Pluto forces us to face those darker, deeper, hidden aspects of ourselves, of our partnerships, of us within the partnerships, of what we tolerate within our relationships. And it may be a transit that reveals the hidden or underlying conflict or truth that we have to address in order to grow or to transform in our lives. It's a great setup for or a great lead in to the sun's move into Scorpio. And of course, anytime we have a square or anytime we have Pluto involved, there's intensity and crisis, perhaps. I mean, not necessarily in your personal life, but maybe we see something in the outer world that applies to us as a crisis. Pluto's influence intensifies that, and at the 29th degree, it becomes critical. It's a sense of urgency to resolve whatever long-standing issue is right in front of us. And it's interesting because this is happening in political season. We're here in the USA. We are about to elect a new president, and how all of that is playing out during Scorpio season, right? It plays out in Scorpio season. And the transit brings sort of a moment of reckoning, and it pushes us to confront all of the uncomfortable truths. And if you apply that to society right now, we could go in 25 different directions with that one. But there is a sense of rebuilding that's also possible here. The 29th degree completes something. It completes something so that we can regenerate, so that we can build upon, so that we can move forward. And it's necessary to have the destruction in order to rebuild, right? So we have all of that going on. Balancing fairness, balancing power. Libra really seeks that kind of fairness. And Capricorn is about authority and long term stability. So finding a balance between those two, right, is key. How do you assert your power without compromising fairness or equality, etc.? And how do you do things with equality without compromising your power? We could do it either way, right? So it's a big transit. It's one that likely will play out, uh, probably out in the bigger, wider world, but don't mistake the fact that it can also be playing out in your own personal life, right? Wherever you have the energies of Scorpio, or of Libra, and the energy of Capricorn, whatever houses those are in, is where the square is taking place, right? So if this were a chart of a person, Libra would be playing out in the 12th house. There's the sign for Libra. And that would mean maybe bringing up things that are hidden in the unconscious mind, right? Patterns, self sabotage, things like that. And would have to be squared against Pluto in Capricorn. And there's Pluto, the P, there in the sign of Capricorn. And this would be in, if this were a person, in the third house, so would deal with communication. What's hidden in the mind, right? What are the beliefs? What are the thinking patterns, the mindset that might keep you locked in that 12th house of the unconscious mind? So if this person would have a very interesting square going on, as we all will, as we all will. Okay, questions. How's everybody doing out there? Uh, TD Hawk says, or no, Tylin, I'm sorry, Jacqueline, that's Jacqueline Tyler. I heard that shungite purifies water. I did not know that. Tom says our bodies are mostly water, so getting close to bodies of water. Yep, I live right next to one. Amy D, Scorpio, 4th house with Neptune, definitely had the family issues, and I've been working on all these subconscious emotional blocks for a while. Maybe this will mark a culmination. That would be nice. Tom suggests the serenity prayer. I love that. Kiki Law, nice to meet you. Thank you for being here this morning. TD Hawk says Scorpio is the ruler of her 10th house. Neptune is in that house. So working on career and profession, but depending on your age and if a career and profession isn't something that's interesting, it would be more about your authority and your authenticity and bringing that out. Doop-de-doo. 13 signs is new for me, TD Hawk says. Yes, indeed. Don't forget. It's a big situation that we're facing astrologically, because every year now the sun is moving through the sign, the constellation of Ophiuchus. But so far, there's been a lot of resistance to bringing that in. And I think it's time that we have it as a very serious part of the conversation, right? Why are we resisting 13? What about that? What is it about the resistance to a 13th sign, a 13th zodiac sign that's very clearly entering our awareness? Okay. And let's see, anything else going on here? Asa, what does that 29 degrees of Pluto mean if it's a solar return in the 5th house? Well, Pluto's all about transformation. The 5th house is all about creativity, joy, taking some risks. So what you could see is you're moving from the safety to the safety of the comfort zone, moving outside of the comfort zone a bit and being more creative, right? You're a manifester, so your job is to create, right? And to do that based on your will, because that's your will center is what's connected to the throat in your human design. So using your will to do what you want, to transform your life, to be more creative, right? To take a risk, kind of putting your little butt out there on the line a little bit to do something different, to create, what's right for you. So I hope that helps. J-Lo, Libra 5th, and I have Moon and Pluto there. Capricorn 8th with my core wound there. Wow, that's transformation in a very big way. Libra 5th, transforming more toward creativity, but also joy. And in the 5th house are our children. So what's transforming there, right? My thought immediately is your children are growing up, moving away or moving out of the house, right? That leaves you as an empty nester, perhaps. And how do I face that? What do I do with that? It's a time for you to start to decide, what you want in your life and how you're going to craft that going forward while, not having to be as much as of a presence for your children because they're growing up. MD, good morning to you. Londa, good morning. J-Lo says whoop or wop. I'm not sure. Creation time. Uh, good, 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 good. So she's just saying the same thing to you, Asa. All right. So let's go on to the last thing I want to talk about this morning, and that is the idea of the gene keys. Remember, this is my gene keys quarter. I told you all that October, November, December, I'm going to keep bringing things back to the gene keys because that's my quarter for the gene keys, right? Even though we're doing all kinds of other things. Um, and starting yesterday, the sun moved into the gene key 50 or the gate 50. They're different words, or they're different terms for essentially the same thing. If it's a gate, we're talking human design. If it's a gene key, we're talking about the gene keys. But they're very similar, right? And they represent these traits that are, within your energetic system. And in the gene keys, they are aligned through shadow, gift, and city. So we get sort of this holographic view of how the energy of the gate can impact us, right? So it's not just, superficial or one dimension. We're looking at it through 3 different points of view. And the sun at the gene key 50 takes us from corruption to harmony, right? Corruption to harmony. So the shadow is corruption. And the core insight here with the gene key 50 is that, remember, this is all located on the spleen center, right? For those of you who attended the spleen center workshop, we talked about the 50 as a part of the shadow energies that get triggered when the sun is moving through the gates of the spleen. The core insight here is the shadow of corruption, and it's rooted in the imbalance of power and ethics. And it reflects the distortion when a system in society or within ourselves becomes tainted by fear or control or the desire for dominance. The code gets corrupted. And how does it manifest? Well, in our personal lives, the shadow can appear as a misuse of influence, manipulation, or being trapped in an environment where corruption is normalized. There's a lack of integrity. And both internally within yourself, but also externally in your relationship with others. That's how you'll know that the shadow of corruption is operating in your life. So, ask yourself the question, where in my life do I see an imbalance of power, either through control or submission? Either way, right? It works both ways. And how does that impact your decision making, right? Think about that. In the gift, we have equilibrium. And the core insight here is about finding the balance between inner stability and external action. And it represents the harmonious state where integrity and ethics naturally guides our decision making. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be nice? And it creates environments of fairness and justice and trust where we can rely on integrity. And it might manifest on a personal level when you hold your ground in a challenging situation, when you uphold your ethics, when you bring wisdom or balance to relationships and to the choices that you're making in your life. It's about restoring trust and cultivating inner clarity, which then reflects outwardly to others, right? It becomes something that is available in the outer world. And, practical mindful awareness is what it takes. Being mindful of whether you are being pulled emotionally, mentally, physically into extremes, right? In your environment or in your relationships. You want to strive to maintain balance through conscious decision making. And that is what comes when you stay aligned with your values, when you stay aligned with your integrity. So, how can you create greater balance and fairness in your life and reflections or relationships becomes a good reflection question, right? How do you create greater balance and fairness in your life and in your relationships? Big, big, big question. When we get out of the gift of equilibrium, we get to harmony. That's the siddhi, the highest level that we can achieve. And the core insight here is that harmony is the ultimate transcendence of imbalance. And in this state, we are fully aligned with all universal laws and where everything functions in a perfect rhythm and alignment and as a greater whole. It's very holistic. And harmony in its highest would bring an effortless flow of energy between inner and outer world, between yourself and your environment, right? Between the people and the government, right? We could go on and on with pairs that could become more unified, more perfectly embodying peace and unity, where all corruption is dissolved, right? All corruption is dissolved. It can't stand in the face of harmony. And what would true harmony look like? What would that feel like in your life to have that operating? Now, when we're looking at the sun, we also have to look at the earth because they're a pair and they transit every week through certain gates or certain gene keys. So the sun is transiting through the gate 50 or the gene key 50, while the earth is transiting through the gene key 3 or the gate 3. And this is a gate that stabilizes the journey from chaos to innocence. And it's an interesting bridge, right? This one. The shadow is chaos, and it represents the fear of unpredictability and disorder. And sometimes we think of this as trouble in the beginning of something. Like in the I Ching, it really is about trouble in the beginning. As we try to shift, let's say, our society toward a more equal society, it doesn't happen smoothly, right? Anytime change comes in, there's often chaos that accompanies it, right? It's not an easy transition. And it can cause us to feel overwhelmed or confused. And the inability to move forward comes in because we seemingly cannot control what's happening, right? So it becomes chaotic. And it appears in our life when we feel scattered, directionless, and then we get frustrated or anxious over the inability to move forward. It can show up as resistance to change and resistance to um, making the decisions that are necessary to move forward. And it can also show up as uncertainty or the uncertainty that leads to stagnation, where we are unable to make a move in our lives. That's how you know you're operating in the shadow of this. And asking questions like, where am I resisting the natural flow of my life? And how is fear of chaos keeping me stuck? Right? Where is that fear keeping me stuck? The gift is innovation. And the gift here is about embracing chaos as a creative force instead of fearing the uncertainty that comes with it. Innovation sees opportunities in disruption and moves forward with curiosity and excitement without any fear, right? And it manifests as thriving in unpredictable situations, finding unique solutions to problems, pioneering new paths forward. Where others only see problems, you see opportunities. It is an energy that really is adaptable or brings adaptability and growth to all of us. And in the city, we have innocence. And this is the one that really gets me because how does innocence or play out with innovation and with chaos, right? How does that work together? Well, the city of innocence represents the pure childlike state that we can get into with no fear of chaos, right? Only a deep trust in the flow of life. And in this state, you are one with the universe beyond the need for control and understanding, right? Most of our problems seem to stem from control or the need to control. And innocence brings profound peace and joy. It's a return to simplicity where every moment is embraced with wonder and awe and openness, free from the burdens of expectation or resistance. I would love it if that were happening. And what would your life look like if you trusted the flow of events, no matter how chaotic they appear? How would that change the way everything is in your life? So the sun at the gene key 50 invites us to move from the shadow, excuse me, of corruption, where fear and control distort life, and move toward the gift of equilibrium, where balance and integrity bring wisdom and trust. And at its highest, we step into harmony, which is a state of profound alignment with universal truths. And the earth teaches us to transform the shadow of chaos where confusion and overwhelm reigns, and turn that into the gift of innovation where unpredictability becomes fuel for creativity and growth. And at the civic level, here your return to innocence, a place of deep trust in life's flow, even in the face of chaos, and where chaos becomes a source of joy and excitement. All right. Woo, that took us right to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I see new people out here, and I love that. Don't forget the link that's showing in the window if you're on YouTube is about the Energy Almanac. I will post the link for that in the description of the video, as well as on Facebook, as well as the link to join into the 13th Sign webinar on November 21st, which I don't think I said the date earlier, but November 21st. And all of the webinars are recorded, and by registering and purchasing the webinar, you get the recording. All right. Thank you all for joining me. Have a great day. See you on Friday. Bye for now.